All right, here we are once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing from Mcfarlane Toys. And this is the long awaited Batman Forever wave, and it's the Riddler. So, Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I was a big fan of this guy from In Living Color. If you guys remember that show, we used to call him the white guy on In Living Color because he was the white guy on In Living Color. Uh, He'd been in a few things beforehand. He was on a show called The Duck Factory, and that was a good show. But I felt like his talents were wasted because he was basically playing the straight man. Jim Carrey was the straight man on a sitcom. The Duck Factory was about a cartoon studio, so I liked that show an awful lot when I was a kid. He was in a movie called Once Bitten where he played a vampire. But In Living Color was where I first really became a fan of this guy. He was hilarious on that show. And of course, that wound up spinning off into movies. He was in Ace Ventura. He was in The Mask. He was in Dumb and Dumber. And then he was in Batman Forever, where he played the Riddler. So everybody thought that Robin Williams was going to wind up playing the Riddler, and he wound up not. Jim Carrey wound up taking the role, and he did a good job, I think. I think Robin Williams would have been great. Obviously, Robin Williams is a great actor, so I think he would have been awesome as the character. But Jim Carrey is what we got, and I enjoyed him in the role. Hello, Aunt June. Nice to see you this morning. So we've got some other cool stuff to open up soon. I found this guy the other day. We got Hugo Strange in his Batman outfit, one of my favorite Batman villains. So we'll be opening him soon. But first, we're going to do these 4 Batman Forever figures, and we've got some other cool stuff. So I've got a few other Riddler figures to compare him to because I have some of the classic Kenner Batman Forever Riddler figures. Starting with this one. This one was actually a Target exclusive. I still have them on the card, and you can see that this one just had like kind of a generic backing card on the front with the movie poster rather than original artwork on the character like these Batman Forever cards usually had. It says the Riddler in Capture Brain Drain helmet. You see it's got like a nice Target exclusive logo on there. And the regular Riddler figure looked pretty much like this, except for his colors were a little closer to what we had in the movie. We'll skip ahead to this one real quick so you can see it was basically colored like this instead of, in the lighter metallic green with the purple question marks. It was like an all black and green outfit with some red gloves, actually. So, but yeah, this was pretty much what the today is your mom's 70th anniversary, which you probably already know. I knew it was coming up, and to me, it still feels like the 25th. So I did know, but I did know that their birthday was on Monday, but to me, it still feels like Sunday, if that makes any sense. But I'll give her a call later. So don't tell her I'm going to give her a call later. Just let that be a surprise. That's a secret between you and me. Nobody watching this tell my mom I'm going to call her later, but I'm going to call her later. So, but yeah, I don't actually currently have. I'm sure I have him somewhere, but I don't have him handy. The original version of the Riddler in this line, but he would have come with the same backpack. This was, like I said, a Target exclusive, so it was a specially colored version. And then they did another repaint of him. This one was the Riddler with question mark bazooka. And you can see they kind of reversed his color scheme there, which I thought looked really cool. And I don't have the accessories that came with him, but I do have the question mark bazooka and the dot projectile that came with the Batman the Animated Series version of the Riddler, which is basically the same thing. It was just colored slightly different. Like the green more matched the green on his outfit, and I believe that the trigger, instead of being purple, was also green. But he actually holds this better than the animated series figure that was designed to hold this weapon. So that's kind of funny. But I like the the green on black look versus the black on green look. I thought that was pretty cool and unique. So all of the single carded Riddlers were based off of that mold, and the more accurate, the more screen accurate version of the Riddler was in a 2-pack with Two-Face. And unfortunately, I don't know where the cane for this figure went. It's somewhere in my storage, and they mostly reprinted this figure again for the talking Riddler figure. Oddly enough, this one does not have any question marks on his back. I don't know why that is. They put question marks on the back of the 2-pack version, but not on the back of the talking version. It's kind of strange. And he does have a different head sculpt with the funky hair and the little mask with the question mark on it, and the little question mark mole. That this was kind of like I called this one Vegas Riddler. This was the Riddler at his most fabulous. And I do have the accessories for him somewhere, like I said, but I don't have access to them right now, so we're not seeing any of those. So that's pretty much the Riddler figures from the Batman Forever line that Kenner did. Around the time of Batman and Robin, they did another 2-pack with Batman versus the Riddler, and they basically repainted this one in a green outfit with yellow question marks on it. It's a pretty cool looking figure, but I don't have it. It's hard to. It is weird, isn't it? But it's hard to come by, so I don't have that one. I see it selling on eBay occasionally, and it's expensive. So maybe I'll be able to add it to my collection one day if I can find it for a good price, but I can live without it. I'm not really too concerned with it. So that brings us up to our modern day Riddler figure. And we can see that he comes with a Build-A-Figure piece for the Nightmare Bat, which is our collect and connect figure. Collect to build, that's what Mcfarlane calls it. So we see that it's got the parts here numbered like usual, and as usual, I'm going to go in a completely different order because I don't agree with the order they put. See, like they put the body as like number 3 of 4 pieces to put together, and it's like, how are you supposed to put the head and the wing together without the body to go in the middle? I don't know. The body should be part number 1. Obviously, it should be part number 1. Bare minimum, either the head should be part number 1 or the wing should be part number 1, maybe. But the body would certainly be part number 2 because you have to attach it to something. You can't attach the wing to the head, so that doesn't make any sense. So we're going to open the Riddler first because he's the one that has the body. And then tomorrow I'll open Robin, and then I'll open Two-Face, and then finally I will open Batman. I will save him for last with the head. So I kind of feel like that's a good rhythm too, because then you have bad guy with the Riddler, good guy with Robin, bad guy with Two-Face, good guy with Batman. So it kind of alternates. All right, so I cut the piece of tape at the bottom. You can see that mine's kind of smashed in a little bit here. I got him at GameStop, so he was like that when he was on the shelf. So let's go ahead and open it up and have a look at what this figure comes with. First of all, we have the Nightmare Bat piece, so let's have a look at that first of all. And it has the dreaded rubber tabs, the double rubber tabs around the body. And this is a single solid piece. It does not have any articulation on it whatsoever. The legs are just kind of little teeny tiny bat legs. And unfortunately, I feel like they could have done a better job with this. He's got a big old plug, like a big old hole to plug into in the middle of his chest, which is where the stand is going to go. Now, I don't see the stand in this box, so it must come with a different figure. I'm guessing it comes with Batman, since Batman just has the head. So the first accessory we're going to take out from the figure is going to be this cane, and you can see the cane is kind of warped in the package. It is the kind of softer kind of plastic that Mcfarlane oftentimes uses for their accessories, unfortunately, and that wound up being a kind of a ropey looking cane there. So hopefully I can hit it with the hair dryer, and that can kind of soften it up. But other than the fact that it got kind of warped, it does look very accurate to the Riddler's cane in the movie, with the question mark handle and the kind of ridged sort of texture to it. The Riddler's cane, of course, had lots of technological gimmicks built up in it, built into it, I'm meant to say. So it was a pretty important accessory in the movie. Now, the Riddler had canes previously. The Riddler, when he was played by John Aston on two-parter on the 1966 television series, he had a green cane, kind of similar to this, and the Riddler on Batman the Animated Series had a green cane, but they were never really utilized like the way that the Riddler's cane was in Batman Forever, where like Carrey practiced with the cane for like weeks before he actually shot the movie, and he got to where he could just kind of basically juggle the thing like it was a part of him, and that was pretty impressive. And then, like I said, with all the technological devices built into the cane, it was a pretty important part of the character. So let's have a look at some more of these accessories, because there are a few more. Get this guy first. We have the Riddler's Bat Bomb. And of course, we remember these from when the Riddler was blowing up the Bat Cave. It's a little grenade made to look kind of like a cartoon bat, little head, little wings, and a question mark on there. So, somebody tell the fat lady she's on in 5. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. And then the Riddler has 2 alternate hands. We have this somewhat gesturing kind of hand, an open hand. And I figure I'm probably going to wind up putting that onto the figure, because I like those kind of... If he's got a cane and you want him to have a 2-handed grip, he can usually use the open hand just fine for one of those. And a solid fist hand. So, hey, Two-Face, show me how to punch a guy! So you can punch the guard in the face and has no effect on the guard. Ow! So, all right. So going back to the figure itself. More rubber tabs. The Riddler looks to be on a new body, which was probably made exclusively for this figure. Although, considering how I opened the Frank Gorshin figure the other day, I think they could probably use some of these parts, if not all of them. Obviously not the head, but they could probably use some of these parts in making a Frank Gorshin Riddler, since he had a somewhat similar build and a similar spandex outfit. The Riddler's outfit in the movie was fairly simple. It was just a green bodysuit with spandex over it. Now, I do have the Mcfarlane comic book Riddler, so we can compare that one as well. But here he is out of the package. Excellent likeness of Jim Carrey, I think. Lots of good detail to him. You can see they painted in the individual teeth and everything like that. He looks really good. All right. So we do have an action figure stand and a trading card. So let's go ahead and look at that before I forget. So action figure stand is the standard. Yes, darn those rubber tabs indeed. Standard matte black DC Multiverse stand with the glossy black DC insignia on it. We've seen that many times, and I always enjoy seeing it because, as I say, every action figure should come with an action figure stand with no exceptions. There's no excuse for it anymore. It just is. They probably cost like pennies a piece to make. Just go ahead and make them. So we've got the Riddler on the back. I didn't really talk about the cross-sell artwork in the package, so let's look at that. These are images cropped from the individual character posters. Unlike with the Batman and Robin trading cards, where they all were cropped from the general release poster with all the characters on there, this time they decided to go with the images from the individual character posters. But honestly, it's the same pictures that are wind up being on the poster with all the characters together. It's the same ones. Actually, come to think of it, no, I think that is actually cropped from. Well, why did they do that when they could have just used the individual posters? There's no reason for that because they're the same pictures. But yeah, you can see Two Face's shirt behind his ear. That's weird they did that. Here's what the back looks like. We've all seen the back of these several times, but we're going to see it again right now. And it reads, The Riddler, Batman Forever, data file. Real name, Edward Nygma. Not Nashton. His real name is Edward Nygma. And for those of you who are like, oh, it's stupid that he would, he would happen to be named Edward Nygma and then become the Riddler. No, he became the Riddler because he was named Edward Nygma. It's like, if you actually read comic books and you read the first appearance of the Riddler in the comic book, he actually says, I should be a whiz at puzzles because my name is Enigma, like Edward Nygma. Like, is it stupid? Yeah, but people say stupid stuff all the time. So it's realistic in that it's stupid. Anyway, Batman faces off against two foes. The schizophrenic, horribly scarred former district attorney Harvey Dent. He actually isn't schizophrenic. That's not what schizophrenic means. AKA Two-Face and the Riddler, a disgruntled, excuse me, I had a little bit of a hiccup there. A disgruntled ex-Wayne Enterprises inventor seeking revenge against his former employer by unleashing his brain-sucking weapon on Gotham City's residents. As the Caped Crusader also deals with tortured memories of his parents' murder, he has a new romance with psychologist Dr. Chase Meridian. There's a lot of stuff about characters who aren't the Riddler on the back of this, which leads me to believe it's probably going to be the same bio on every single card. And you know who they didn't mention? Robin. That poor kid always gets neglected. All right, so let's set the trading card aside now, and we will concentrate on the action figure itself. All right, so the Riddler is wearing a bright green leotard, a bodysuit, a zentai, whatever you want to call it. And to compare him to the Kenner figure, I think that the coloring on the Kenner figure is actually a little more accurate. I think that's a little more like what I remember his suit being like colored in the movie. I think this green is actually a little too fluorescent, which I'm surprised that, like, there's a color that's more fluorescent than something Joel Schumacher would have actually used in the movie. It's not a bad green. I don't think it's a bad representation of the green in the movie. I just think it's not quite as accurate as the Kenner version. But then again, that could be because I've had that figure for 30 years. Looking at the trading card, it actually does match up pretty well. So, I can't really necessarily say that it's more accurate. It's just more accurate. That this one is more accurate to my memory of it. So, man, these joints are tight on the knees. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Like I said, excellent likeness of Jim Carrey. Looks just like the actor to me. One thing that I do notice that is an inaccuracy, and you can actually see it in the trading card if you look at his hand, is that the Riddler's sleeves are actually supposed to come all the way down his hands and have like a little loop where his thumb comes through the sleeve, almost making like kind of a pseudo glove. It doesn't actually go over any of the fingers, but it does kind of cover like the back of his hand a little bit. And with this one, it just kind of ends at the cuff, right where his wrist is. I'm not sure why they did that. Maybe it was a mistake, or maybe they were just trying to save a little money on paint. I don't know. But other than that, it's fairly accurate to what the Riddler's costume looked like in the movie. Obviously, there's some blank spots more than I would like where his question marks should be. But that's probably just where like the tampograph couldn't quite reach it. I do wish they'd probably put some question marks on the butterfly joints so they didn't look quite so blank. But I guess they didn't want to take a chance on the question marks getting covered up whenever you bent the arms in and out. So let's go ahead and talk about his articulation while we're on that subject. The Riddler can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. A riddle? Really? Tell me. He's got that good McFarlane torso articulation, so he can move his torso around any which way you want. Although it does seem like really tight, especially at the waist. The arms, of course, rotate all the way around. They're on a butterfly joint, like I mentioned before. They bend in about that far, bend back about that far. The arms do rotate all the way around, as I said. They go up about that far. This one seems like it's sticking a little bit. It probably should go up a little farther than that, but I think it's just stiff. He does have a bicep joint, so it rotates all the way around. He does have the double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you're going to get at the elbows. He's got those great McFarlane wrist articulations, so you can move the wrist around any which way you want. I already talked about the torso articulation because I skipped ahead on that. The Riddler can kick up about that far, so about 90 degrees, pretty good. It is a little somewhat encumbered by that rubber trunk piece, but that's come to be expected on McFarlane toys by this point. He's got the double jointed knees. That's about how far up his knee goes. He does not have a boot cut, but he does have the cool McFarlane ball jointed ankles, which would, doesn't really need a boot cut because that works so well. But rotates all the way where the ankle meets the shin and where the ankle meets the foot. So the foot can rotate all the way around. And that means you can rock it around into various poses. Great ankle articulation, as McFarlane usually does. And then toe articulation, just to show off. And he's wearing, as he had in the movie, like black loafers with dark green panels at the tops of the loafers. So yeah, pretty accurate to the movie, but not quite as accurate as I think it could be. Maybe they could give us another take on the Riddler again at some other point. Maybe in a 2-pack with Batman. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that Batman review. So let's go ahead and have a look at him with some of these accessories. So can he hold the bat bomb at all? Yeah, kinda. Can he hold it like the way he held it in the movie, where it's more like he's holding a ball, like he's gonna throw? Yeah, you can kind of squeeze it in there, so that works pretty well. But I wouldn't suggest leaving it in there too long, like displaying him holding it like that, because that would stretch out the hands. And we do want him to be able to hold the cane. And like I said, the cane is kind of warped, but we'll just make do with it for this this video. I'm gonna swap out the hands. I picked the wrong one. So it looks like the fist is supposed to go onto the left hand. Okay. I was thinking it would have been the other way around. So there is the open hand. So, and like I said, we can still get him to kind of do a two-handed grip even with the open hand. That still works pretty well if we want to do that. So, and probably how I'll wind up posing him for the thumbnail. Because I do want him to have a little bit of that theatricality. So you can get some pretty cool poses out of him, like with most McFarlane figures. I'm going to try to straighten up his cane before I shoot the thumbnail. Captain Have Fun says, great looking figure. I'm surprised this McFarlane. I've been buying Mayfex or Beast Kingdom figures when I want something this detailed. Great head sculpt. Yeah, I was actually really impressed with the head sculpt. Like I noted, he does look a lot like Jim Carrey. And not only just like physically looks like Jim Carrey, but it's like a very Jim Carrey sort of expression. So they really captured the flavor of it. I really enjoyed his performance as the Riddler. He brought a lot of energy to it. Not as great as Frank Gorshin, who always will be my favorite Riddler, but yeah, I felt like he still did a good job. So good job on the hair. It sometimes in the movie the hair looks more orange, and sometimes it looks more pink. And this one they kind of erred on the side of orange. But like I said, just because of how it's lit in the movie, sometimes it's going to look more orange and sometimes it's going to look more red. So they had to pick one color, and it's fine, orange. You can see that Kenner went with orange too, even though I think pink definitely would have worked better on this guy. So I'm pretty happy with the Riddler, the Nightmare Bat. What I can see of him, got some good detail to it, some good coloring. I do wish that they had found a different way to put him on the stand rather than this gigantic hole in the chest. Captain Half Fun says, "Is his cane the same one that came with their Multiverse Riddler?" I gotta look at my figs. I don't have this one, but might have that cane. I thought I had the Multiverse cane around here somewhere, but it's not in the hands of my Riddler right now. So it might be somewhere in this big pile of stuff that I have on my desk that I need to clean off. So I have a day off on Tuesday. That'll probably be something I do on Tuesday. Is try to if I can find the other cane, I'll do a short. Well, let's go ahead real quick and have a comparison between the comic book version of the Riddler and the movie version of the Riddler. And you can see the Riddler in the comic book had a much lighter green suit, and he had some purple on his outfit, purple mask, purple gloves, purple belt. No shoes, just the little footsie pajama things. It is interesting, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about this when I open Two-Face. It is interesting that they took all of the purple out of the Riddler's costume. And he's just green and black. That's all he gets. And the other thing I always thought was interesting about the Riddler's design is they did away with the big question mark that he had on the front of his suit. And of course, the Frank Gorshin Riddler suit had the big question mark on the front of the suit. But the Riddler's just got like a bunch of little question marks all over his suit. And some of them are bigger than others. But I really liked the way that it worked out, where like it just the question marks. With the comic book version of the Riddler, you see the question marks are all facing the same way. That's the way that's always been. But I loved how they did it in the movie, where the question marks just kind of go every which way, like they're scattered all over the suit, and I thought that was really cool. So usually when I draw the Riddler, I draw him a little more like the way the question mark pattern is in the movie, and just I still have the big question mark on the front though. Captain Half Fun says, "I love that comic Riddler. That suit is my fave. 89 Toy Biz 4.5-inch figure looks exactly like that Riddler. I have them displayed together." Yes, and I like to put that Riddler with my Superpowers, because Superpowers never got around to making a Riddler, and I feel like that being one of the better figures in the Toy Biz line, it actually scales really well with Superpowers. It's actually a modified version of the original Superpowers Flash, from the neck down. It's pretty much the same body. They just redid the belt and took the Flash stripes off of the wrists. But yeah, so it works out perfectly. I kind of feel like that's the Superpowers Riddler that we should have actually gotten from Kenner. But yeah, the closest we got to a Superpowers Riddler was that one from, I think, South America, where they recolored Green Lantern. We'll see how Mcfarlane does a Superpowers Riddler. I'm wondering how they'll do that. Yeah, see, that's the one I'm talking. Super Amigos. That's the one I'm talking about, and they are expensive, which I don't have one. And honestly, the Toy Biz Riddler, I think, like, if we're going just based on pure aesthetic, I think it's a better looking figure. It might not be as desirable because of the rarity, but I do think it's a better looking figure. So I'd mentioned in the Ambush Bug review that I think it would be nice to see the comic book Riddler redone with that Ambush Bug buck, so we could have a little bit of a skinnier Riddler. But maybe my skinny Riddler itch has been scratched by Jim Carrey here. So I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about this figure right now. Like I said, if I can find what I did with the cane that came with the comic book Riddler, I'll compare. But I did think when, I think I mentioned this when I opened that one up, I did think that one actually looked a lot like the cane that they had in the movie. And I said, hey, if they ever do a Batman Forever Riddler, they can just reuse it. That'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. So that might be exactly what they did. But that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of the Riddler in general, especially the Jim Carrey version. Like I said, I did enjoy this version of the character. He maybe not quite as much as I like the Frank Gorshin one, but he's still really good. I'd say he was easily the second best Riddler. I liked the guy on Gotham. I thought he did pretty good. I was not really fond of the Zodiac Killer version in the Robert Pattinson movie, but I wasn't fond of most stuff in the Robert Pattinson movie. So, bye, Aunt June. Thanks for stopping by. Like seeing you. I'm sure you're going to talk to my mom later, so I'm sure you're going to tell her happy birthday. And like I said, don't tell her I'm calling her. And Captain Has Fun says, thanks, man, for keeping the fun going. I'll share this out with my Twitter. Well, I try. I try to try to bring a little joy into this world when I can. So don't forget, tomorrow I'll be back with Robin, and we will see you next time.